is already to the east of Morrow. If you live, excuse me, in this red polygon, there at 75, 675, between Morrow, really from Maddox Road here, over to Ellenwood and Village Parkway, to Rex Road, to East Atlanta Road, to Stockbridge. Stockbridge, you're right on the edge of that polygon there. I want you to be in your tornado safe position in the lowest floor of your home. If you have a basement, the basement is the best place to be right now. If you do not have a basement, be in the lowest floor of your home, in the centermost part of your house, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible to protect you there from any debris that could be flying around. Again, it's not a confirmed tornado. This is a radar indicated tornado that is moving through that area right now. I'm looking off screen here at our computers so we can see these areas. They have some signs that this is showing some weakening rotation. So again, the rotation that triggered this warning just a few minutes ago is now indicating that the rotation may be weakening a little bit more. But as I'm always telling you, these storms often pulse up, then pulse down, and pulse back up again. So before the Weather Service decides to let go of this warning, and the last one that we had, they were able to cancel it early because of the weakening rotation with this. So even after issuing this, we're already seeing signs that the rotation may be weakening some, but we're still seeing some exhibiting, the radar exhibiting the potential for a tornado vortex signature here within that. We don't have a debris signature with it yet to confirm any debris flying around or anything, but as Danielle mentioned, here's a look. Let me go back to the shear. We still have some areas there around Rex Road, the blue that you see there, which is indicating that potential for some storm rotation too. So we'll watch that as it travels over 675 to see if this is going to grow anymore or if it's going to go away. But these storms have been exhibiting there at least some mid-level rotation and some broad rotation with them as they've been developing and moving over to the east. And there you see a new scan coming in with the reflectivity. Really, the entire polygon here, the red that you see, all of that polygon has some heavy rain in it. It's just this part right here around 675 where that's crossing over right now. Let's go back to velocity since that new scan came in, and we're seeing it right around this area here. North Clayton, Old Macon Highway, Stagecoach Road over here, East Atlanta Road, Davidson Parkway right down here to the south. This is crossing over 675 right now, and that is where we have this potential rotation that is moving through. So in that area, stay in your tornado safe position until this storm moves through. As we see the potential for heavy rain, we've got the strong winds with it as well, thunder and lightning in association with this storm moving on over to the east there, and then that is taking it into those areas of the county lines that we're seeing here. This is south of Conyers, south of Atlanta. So this right here is Clayton right here. This is the county line going into northern Henry County, where you see again, this is in effect until 9 o'clock. Right now it's 8:39. This, if it holds together, will be in effect for another 20 minutes. There is also a severe thunderstorm warning here down to the south, including Fayette County, moving down to the south too. That is for Coweta and Fayette County until 9 o'clock. That is for strong storms there with winds of 60 miles an hour or greater, and also some hail with that. We'll take a closer look.
Clayton County 911 is reporting a tornado touchdown in Morrow Lake City area.
Okay, so we're getting now, this is from a ham operator, but they're saying that a Clayton County 911 operator is reporting a tornado touchdown in the Morrow Lake City area, and that is what triggered this warning. Remember when we first came on, when we said the rotation was back here between Lake City and Morrow? In fact, let me take this velocity backwards here. We're going to go back in time just a little bit. All right, as this was coming in, so this was at 8:30, and then right here, this goes to 8:32. This was the area right here that we were watching between Lake City and Morrow. So we're hearing from some chatter here on our chat that apparently a Clayton County 911 operator reported a tornado that had touched down in the Morrow Lake City area. We're going to confirm whether or not we see any type of damage with that. Let me look at the debris finder as well here and go backwards. So this, if you can see this, Danielle, that might be an indicator right there of what we're seeing. I'm kind of going back and forth here. And again, when we're on here with you live, we're ingesting this data as we're on here with you. It's not like we looked at this an hour ago or something and said, let's show this later. We're seeing this just as you are. So this right here might have been a weak little bit of debris signature there near between Lake City and Morrow as that moved through, but then we don't see any additional debris. Now again, just using these tools of what we have with these storms as they roll on through. Okay, so we're also watching a discrete storm over southern Clayton that's about to be ingested in this line that could develop a little bit of rotation too. So let me go back and look at velocity here. So two real areas that we're watching. We have the actual warning here coming out of Clayton, moving into northern Henry. This bit of rotation right here, about to cross over 675. We're keeping an eye on this near Bonanza. In the southern parts of Clayton County, another discrete cell there is being absorbed by the main line, and we could see some rotation developing here near Bonanza. Let me get in a little bit closer to that. Near Irondale, south of Jonesboro, in this area here. No warning on this right now, but this is something we're watching with some potential rotation there, and we'll see if a new warning is going to be issued there too. So this line has been pretty impressive moving through. The heaviest part of this is pushing to the east now, and the stronger storms about the are over the city of Atlanta and also to pushing to the east of us, that leading edge. So this is in motion here. And you can see that line as it's moving through. This is all the heavy rain. We have this tornado warning here. I'm going to get back down to that in just a moment here, where we're watching two areas there on the south side, Clayton into Henry County, that tornado warning in effect until 9 o'clock. Severe thunderstorm warning in parts of Coweta and also Fayette County, keeping an eye on that. And then watching this right here, okay? Let me get back to that really close, because I want you to see this in motion of what I was talking about, where I showed you the velocity here. See how that moved into that main line, kind of absorbed here? We may be seeing a little bit of rotation there near Lovejoy too, that we'll keep an eye on to see if we need to issue any type of warning there. But for right now, the warning is coming out of Clayton County, moving into Henry County, the part right there where we were seeing that rotation crossing over 675. Let's go back to the velocity mode here. And the specific area of rotation, not as impressive as it was earlier. I mean, we're seeing the red and green coming together here, but it would be this part right here that is where we can potentially could see that bit of rotation holding on there, right along 675, just south of Ellenwood.
I have a max 3, 675 in Anvil Block. That's right there in Ellenwood.
Okay, if we could go to that max 3 right now, Marcos, if you can put up max 3. This is the traffic cam right here at Anvil Block Road in Clayton County, right along 675. This is in that area that we're talking about here. You see the cars, some of them have their flashing lights on there, trying to slow down a little bit as they are going into this area of heavy rain. Let me kind of back out of here so you can see this a little bit better here, but this is along 675, heavy rain coming down right now. This would be, excuse me, in that area where we have that potential rotation coming through. See the lightning there too. Kind of looking at that, cars are slowing down because of the heavy rain coming through, ponding on the roadways, and the cars coming toward the camera look like they're going slow. The cars going away from the camera look like they keep putting their brake lights on as they are moving into that area of that heavier rain, really having to slow down. Most likely some additional ponding there on the roadways there at 675. More cars there with their flashing lights on, warning people that they are slowing down, moving into that spot just, and there's more lightning there coming in too.
I got 2 updates for you, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Danielle, tell me what you got.
There is a new tornado warning as well for Fayette and Spalding County until 9:15, and also there's a ground stop at the airport until 9 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
But the most important thing is the new tornado warning for Fayette
That is this one right here.
Radar indicated.
This is the newest one coming for Fayette and Spalding until 9:15. So that's coming from this severe thunderstorm warning that's in Coweta and Fayette. Now we have some rotation right in here south of Woolsey. This is triggering a new tornado warning. This is to be in effect until 9:15 tonight. If that holds together that long, south of the Woolsey area where we see this storm that's moving through here, let me add in here what else we're seeing from the National Weather Service, saying that this is radar indicated rotation over Lake Horton, or 9 miles south of Fayetteville, moving east at 35 miles an hour. So here you see this area that we're watching. So Fayetteville, okay, so Fayetteville is up here, kind of below that box. So we're talking about this area right here where we see that potential rotation that would be over Lake Horton. That's between Woolsey and Brooks and near the Lowry area, moving east at 35 miles an hour. This area right here, Brooks-Woolsey Road, you've got Brooks right here. There's Lowry, Rio, and Birdie. This is the area where we're watching this potential rotation right here that has just triggered this new tornado warning for parts of Coweta County as well as southern Fayette County. I'm sorry, Spalding, let me repeat that. Not Fayette County for this one. This is actually southern Fayette County and central Spalding County. All right, these are the counties that are in this, and I'll put this on there so y'all can see it. There it is right there. Fayette and Spalding until 9:15 with this newest warning that was just issued. This severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect over toward Peachtree City is no longer in effect. That just expired. So we have 2 tornado warnings that we're watching here.
They just expired.
Okay, good.
But they're watching still because there's still rotation in that storm. So they let the warning expire, but they're saying that they're still watching for a tightening of rotation.
Okay.
So we only have this 1 tornado warning at this time.
So what you're hearing, Danielle is here with me. We're teaming up here, watching these storms as they're rolling in. The reason we broke in was for a tornado warning that was up here along 675, going from Clayton County into northern Henry County. As of right now, they have canceled that warning, but with a caveat that they're still watching it for potential rotation to redevelop. But they feel confident now, or feeling more comfortable, that they were able to let that warning be canceled a little bit early. But we still have the tornado warning for Fayette and Spalding. And that one is the one that was showing the potential rotation over near Lake Horton that was moving to the east at 35 miles an hour. So let's concentrate on this one right here. And again, as you can see, we're not seeing the classic red and green, but it's this area right here where we're seeing the colors changing just a little bit there in the red as this is crossing over the line here from southern Fayette County, moving into western Spalding. So here's Griffin, Georgia right here, all right? There's 75 from Locust Grove that goes down closer to the Macon area. You see Griffin right here, Spalding County. You have Pike in Lamar County below that. Here's that spot that we're seeing right here with that potential rotation crossing over the county line, now moving into Spalding. So that is around Lowry and Vaughn, moving closer to Edmond. So here's Lowry, Vaughn, Zatella, Esmond is right here. There's Griffin. So it's this part right here near Lowry and Vaughn where we see this rotation right now. This is supposed to be in effect until 9:15. We'll keep watching that to see if this rotation holds together. We'll put it back to reflectivity mode here. And as far as this is concerned, we're just seeing some little notches here within that. Where we see that potential rotation. Nothing really outstanding with that looking at. But if you're in Esmond, especially Lowry and Vaughn, be in your tornado safe position, lowest floor of your home there. And there you see Old Atlanta Road going toward Griffin. And there's Tawalaga here and Steeles outside of that warning. But we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if this is going to hold together. So far, these warnings that we've had and the history of these storms that we've been watching, as these have been pretty classic brief spin-ups where we see the rotation spinning up quickly and then it lets go. And so it's been brief spin-ups that have been triggering most of these warnings. And that was even the case back into northeast Alabama and in northwest Georgia, where we had some warnings earlier tonight as well, that they were generally brief spin-ups that were occurring there along this main part of the line. But those brief spin-ups can do some damage. So this again is a look at the velocity mode that we're watching here, looking to see if we have a new update coming in yet from that, and we don't have a new one coming in yet. They're saying they're gonna watch this for a few more scans just to confirm that that part is weakening. And I want to take you back up here to 675. This is where we had the other warning a little bit earlier. They did cancel this warning early, but with that they were saying we're going to keep an eye on this to see if any additional rotation redevelops there. So far we're not seeing any indicators of that right now. For that, again, that would be now to the east of 675. So brief spin ups is what we're watching here, but again, those can do damage, and we want to make sure that everybody is aware as these storms move through what we are watching for, again, with potential rotation there. Let me go back to the shear markers here as well. And Danielle, were you watching this earlier? Let me do the shear tracks.
Yes, I didn't see anything impressive there.
Yeah.
When you were talking about Woolsey, it was a little bit there, but then it did not stay together.
I'll put this in here and we'll kind of go backwards with it. What we were watching, it was this part right here, and near Woolsey, that blue that you're going to see there coming up, where we had that potential rotation. Now it's not really still there. So the Weather Service is saying they're going to hold on to this for a couple more scans to see if, just to make sure any additional rotation doesn't redevelop. But as of right now, this warning is supposed to be in effect until 9:15 unless they allow it to expire early. And this is on the south side. Here we are in Atlanta, there at the top of your screen. All right, this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that they just issued here for that same area where we had that potential rotation. And let me see if they're saying in the warning tornado possible with it. I'm not seeing that, Danielle.
No.
Rockdale, Henry, North Central Butts, East Central Clayton, Central Newton County, severe thunderstorm over Eagles Landing, which is in that area here that we're keeping an eye on, moving east at 25 miles an hour, 60 mile per hour wind, and wind gusts and penny-size hail with that. We are not seeing any mention of any additional rotation with that storm either. So Eagles Landing is there in Henry County. As you get down to Stockbridge to McDonough, in this area is where we're seeing that heaviest rain that's coming down right now along 75, just south of Stockbridge, just north of McDonough here, as that's moving over toward the east. And you can see almost a little bit of purple color there with really heavy rain right at Jodico Road, right here along 351 in Flippin. So if you're going up 75 here and you notice those exits there at Flippin Road, this is what we're talking about, where that leading edge is coming through, and then continuing up there at the Jodico Road exit, Technology Parkway. Up 75, this is south of Stockbridge, where we see this is the heaviest rain that's coming in right there on Jodico Road. And what we're seeing with that is some 60 mile an hour winds with it too. I'm going to look at the hail with this. Okay, look at that hail core. All right, so this is showing a good bit of hail right now. Let me look at this hail size, that darker blue color. This is going to be around an inch or more in diameter. So that is right there between Jonesboro Road, Hudson Bridge right here, along 351, along 75. So again, up those areas now that we're watching there on the south side at Hudson Bridge, hail in this part right here that could be around an inch in diameter. That's pretty impressive hail size coming in. And it looks like, Danielle, I believe they just canceled that warning. Let's go back here and look at this. So yes, they canceled the tornado warning for Fayette and Spalding. They are saying that the storm which prompted the warning has weakened and is no longer producing a tornado. So they have canceled that, but they're saying the strong winds are still possible. So what we have right now, the reason we came on, we had two tornado warnings. One that was for parts of Clayton County and Henry County. Then we had a new one that was issued for Fayette and Spalding. The one for those areas of Henry County and also Clayton County was canceled early because the rotation weakened, and now we have that again with the second warning that was on the south side here for those areas of going into parts of Spalding County, coming out of Fayette County. So both of those, the circulation has weakened and the tornado warnings have been canceled. But we still have another severe thunderstorm warning issued right here. Really heavy rain there along Interstate 75 there near Eagles Landing, near Flippin Road there on 75. That is moving through Henry County. The next step would be Rockdale County. You are included in that severe thunderstorm warning, as well as Newton County. You're in that severe thunderstorm warning as well, and Henry County in that too. That
There's
severe
a camera
thunderstorm
pulled
warning.
up at 75 and Jodico Road on Max 3 if you
Okay,
want.
Max 3. Let's take Max 3 if we can right now. Danielle has that pulled up for us where we have that camera at Jodico Road. Okay, this is right there at 75. Looks like people are, Danielle, I think those people are pulling over.
Yeah, they are.
Right there with the very heavy rain coming in. Also, the lights coming toward us here on this. I'm not sure the perspective of which one is southbound and which is northbound, depending on which side of the interstate this camera is located.
Right.
But you can see right there, this is at Jodico. I guess that's the bridge.
Yeah, that's the bridge.
Okay, that's the bridge at Jodico Road right there, where cars are stopping on the side of the road because the rain coming down so hard. And it looks like I'm seeing those brake lights there. There could either be an accident there, or those people are trying to pull over under the bridge. And then all these brake lights here, as folks are stopped too, with that heavy rain that's coming through. Oh gosh, and there's that lightning that just came through with that as well. So that is where we have this severe thunderstorm warning. Let me put this up for you. We're going to take you back. I just want to give you an update right now on this severe thunderstorm warning. And this is still in effect for Butts, Henry, Newton, and Rockdale until 9:30. So since no other tornado warnings are in effect right now, we're going to take you back to your regularly scheduled programming here on 11 Alive. But we're going to stay on streaming. If you want more weather information, make sure you have 11 Alive Plus downloaded on your television through your smart TV or through Roku, Fire, or Apple TV. So we're taking you back on 11 Alive to your regularly scheduled program since the tornado warnings are over. But we're going to keep monitoring this severe thunderstorm warning for you and this line of showers and storms as they move to the east on 11 Alive Plus and on 11 Alive Weather Impact 24/7 that you can download on your TV. Just search 11 Alive Plus on your smart TV, Roku, Fire, or Apple TV, and we'll join you there with more continuing coverage. are back streaming with you here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7 as we have been tracking these showers and storms moving through. We have had numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. We have had multiple tornado warnings with this, where as this line comes through, that line has been exhibiting signs of rotation, and enough of those signals to issue some tornado warnings. Right now, we do not have any tornado warnings in effect. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here south of the city. Here's Atlanta, going down 75 south through Henry County, over into Rockdale County, and also into Newton County. That is where we have this severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for those areas there on the south side. And this one has been interesting to watch, as it has been showing some spots that we're watching here where we've been seeing some potential rotation, but those areas have not been strong enough or tight enough for an actual warning to be issued. Here is a look at this severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect on the south side right now. This is for Butts, Henry, Newton. Oh, there it is. Let's go back on the air, guys. We got to get back on the air.
There's a tornado warning now.
New tornado warning. Let's go back on the air. Hey guys, on streaming, stay with us here. We're going back on the air for this new tornado warning. Okay, guys, on streaming, just hang with us for a moment. I'm hearing them get us back on the air here for 11 Alive. New tornado warning just issued for southern parts of Rockdale County and Newton. Okay, we ready? All right, guys, I know we just went off air, but now we're back on with you. A new tornado warning just issued with those areas that we've been watching coming out of Henry County, moving into southern Rockdale County and Newton County. This is our latest tornado warning that we just got in from the National Weather Service, as we're seeing these storms there that are firing up, where we have this tornado warning that is in effect that is going to be from these storms there over along I-20 that you see right here. There's Conyers and Covington. Now, the cities of Conyers and Covington, you're not in it. These are just some markers here I want you to know about along I-20. This is south of I-20 with these cells here that are just popping up there in those areas of Newton County and the southern parts of Rockdale County. Let me put this tornado warning up so you can see what we're talking about here. This is for Newton and Rockdale until 9:45. Now, it's a really small part of Rockdale, just the southeastern part of Rockdale right here, where this warning is in effect, and then it goes into this area of Newton County. Let's put it on velocity because we want to kind of point out here what we're watching. Danielle has been keeping an eye on some of those storms where we were seeing. Now, again, there's nothing really outstanding with this. They're saying here, the Weather Service, is that this rotation, and I'm looking off screen here because I'm seeing what they're telling us, that this was over Oak Hill, 9 miles south of Conyers, moving east at 35 miles an hour. So it would be in this area right here between Magnet and Bethany Road where we see this potential rotation right in here along Highway 212, moving over to the east. This is this latest tornado warning that we have. Again, not a classic red and green type of rotation that we often see here in our velocity mode. But I want to take a look at a couple of things. This is our shear and our shear tracks, and we're not seeing anything major showing up there, but I also want to look at our correlation coefficient. This is the part that's interesting right here, where we see some of the changes in the colors here from this Magnet Browns Bridge Road area that could indicate the potential for some lofted debris there near that rotation, which would indicate maybe some debris flying up in the air from the ground, which would help us try to confirm a rotation. Now, they have not confirmed that this is a tornado here, but it's so far radar indicated moving to the east at about 30 miles an hour for that area here. With that potential rotation. Danielle has also been watching our debris finder. We were seeing some signals there a little bit earlier of some other stuff. So let me show you this. I'm going to put this into motion. Again, the debris finder is kind of not as always easy to see here, but what we look for is just some changes there in the colors here, and that could be some debris from that storm. Again, not confirmed, but just what we are seeing here on our radar imagery from that system moving through. Here's Magnet right now, Smith Store Road, Brown Bridge Road, Flat Shoals Road. This polygon here is where we have that tornado warning. This is south of I-20. There's Allman up here, and there's Covington. So Covington, you're not in that red polygon. You're not in the actual warning, but let me widen out excuse me, a little bit more so you can see what we're talking about. Here is Atlanta right here. This is out I-20 and then south of I-20, right in this area here. Southern Rockdale County. Conyers is right up here, all right, closer to I-20. It's in this part right here where we're seeing that potential rotation that is moving now. In fact, I would think they're going to be taking Rockdale out of this warning soon, because the potential rotation now is pretty much pushing over into the far western parts of Newton County. This is south of Covington, just south of I-20 here, where we see this potential rotation that's moving through. And this is all part of these storms that were exhibiting rotation earlier back into parts of Henry County and into parts of Clayton County, where we had some additional tornado warnings earlier, and in parts of Fayette County and Spalding County. All along that line, we have been seeing indicators here from radar of rotation, and they've been generally brief, what we classify as brief spin-ups, where they just gradually and briefly spin up, cause some rotation, and then a couple of scans later, that rotation goes away. But with this situation, we're still watching that potential rotation here along this. Now, some of that, we have a discrete cell that is up ahead of that was moving into Covington right now along I-20. So that was an interesting cell right there that's now moving out of that polygon area. But then this is what we're watching right now, moving out of Rockdale into Newton County, where we see that potential rotation that is moving on through. And again, this is generally just south of I-20. So New Bern, you are not included in this warning right now, but this leading edge is about to move into your area, and as it does, we'll be having to watch for the rotation there. So this is moving, Danielle, that speed, I'm going by memory, was it 30, 35 miles an hour?
I think it was 35.
Danielle's going to confirm that, and I'm going to do a time of arrival for this spot right here.
30 miles an hour.
That we're watching to the east at 30 miles an hour.
Yep.
So that would take that storm into these areas here for the time of arrival that we're watching. If that is holding together, it would be into High Point at 922, which is really just outside of that polygon, if it keeps moving in that direction around 922. And then still outside that polygon, it would be in New Bern at around 941. If it made it to Rutledge, it would be 952, and then to the Brownwood area at 957. But again, High Point, New Bern, Rutledge, Brownwood, that is outside of that red polygon. Just the only areas that we're watching here would be toward High Point and Starsville at around 926 potentially, as those storms would, if this holds together, that would be moving into those spots. So let's get in tighter here. Oh, there's a new one right there too on the north side, Danielle, that just came in here.
Yeah, that's the area that they were watching for. I also have a camera right in that area on Max 3. Marcos, if you want to pull that up, it's I-20 in Conyers.
Okay.
Eastbound.
So before you go to that, let me show you this newest warning. So we have two now polygons. This is what we were watching earlier there along, coming from Conyers there into Newton County here. And that's getting closer to Social Circle, which is right over here. So this is right along I-20. We have this warning south of I-20, now a new warning along I-20 and north of that. So let's go to that camera right now on Max 3, if you could, Marcos. This is, oh, look at that lightning there. This is along I-20 there at Conyers at State Route 2138. Where you see the cars that are moving along the road there on 20 with their flashing lights on. They're slowing down. You can see the heavy rain coming down there right now. There's ponding on the roadways. You can see the spray coming up behind that 18-wheeler as it moves through. Look at the lightning that is pushing through that area right now. So Danielle is monitoring this camera, as this is the area along I-20 where we are seeing this potential rotation there in the Conyers area. Let's go back to the radar because I want to get a closer look at this.
Say check your CCs.
For that one right there?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the correlation coefficient here. So really, we're seeing some spots here near Allman with a little bit of the debris potential signature there. Also watching these colors up here around Dialtown, and sometimes the lofted debris may be shifted a little bit from where the actual rotation is taking place. Let me look at the shear now as well. We're not seeing anything coming up with there, and now back to velocity, and not a real clear, crystal clear view there of these potential areas of rotation. But this one right here around I-20, right in this area, and I'm thinking that rotation would now be maybe a little bit north of I-20 as I-20 kind of goes down a little bit. This rotation may be a little bit on the north side. That will be crossing over Highway 81 in just a little bit. This is for Newton and Rockdale County until 9:45. So 2 areas of rotation that we're watching. We've got Newton and Rockdale for this one. And then we have this rotation, potential rotation here, also for Newton and Rockdale, a secondary area that we're watching. Both of these are in effect until 9:45. And as we've been telling you, sometimes these have been brief spin-ups that have been occurring here. And if after a few scans the rotation isn't evident anymore, then the Weather Service would drop these warnings before the expiration times. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but that has been the trend here. But for those of you in either of these polygons there in Newton or in Rockdale County here and in Newton County over toward Covington along I-20 and northward, you need to be in your tornado safe position, as well as south of I-20 for these spots here of Newton and a little bit of Rockdale County and also into Newton County, where we have that other potential rotation south of Conyers, where that's also going to be in effect until 9:45. In both of those polygons, be in your tornado safe position. Lowest floor of your home. If you have a basement, the basement is the best place to be. If you don't have a basement, that lowest floor of your home, put yourself in the centermost part of your house and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. As we are watching, both of those tornado warnings are within a larger severe thunderstorm warning, all right? That has been moving in along that leading edge of the storms. We'll go back to the reflectivity mode. All of these areas here where if you're in Atlanta, the worst of it is already to the east of you. So our severe weather threat for the Atlanta area, even though we're still dealing with rain, the severe weather threat is pretty much ended for the metro area. It is along this line here from Griffin and Spalding County into McDonough, and then we have the double tornado warnings right here in Rockdale County and Newton County, and then this leading edge goes up through Walton County. You're about to get hit hard in Monroe with some heavier rain, and then north of that we have thunder and lightning here near Bethlehem and parts of Jackson County, moving into Oconee County. Heavy rain, thunder and lightning in Athens. These are not classified as severe north of I-20, or in this part of I-20, or north here, and north of Monroe toward Bethlehem and Athens. But heavy rain, thunder and lightning with those. And we're watching the entire line because the evidence here and the history of this line has been, we have been seeing some notches of rotation developing along that. Most of the rotation has been south of the city. But still, we need to watch these on the north side too, just to make sure that nothing kind of develops out of those. But here again is along I-20 east of Atlanta. So again, there's the city of Atlanta right here. We're talking out I-20 toward Conyers, and then over this part of Rockdale County into Newton County, and then this part of Rockdale into Newton. Did they just take on that second one? They did just shrink.
They shrunk it, yes.
They shrunk that. So this second one here, I know it's hard to see, but this part, they've taken southern Rockdale out of this one, but Rockdale is still in the one that's around Conyers moving into Newton. This part of the one is now pretty much Newton County only for this little bit of rotation there as it's coming through. I know this is a lot to kind of ingest here, but 2 separate tornado warnings all within the 2 same counties for Rockdale County and Newton County, and then a second one down in the south in parts of Newton County. That would be getting closer to the Covington area in just a little bit here. Danielle, are you seeing anything that I need to check out? I'm going to go back to velocity.
No.
Nothing really standing out there as far as our velocity mode. And we're not seeing our shear track is not really showing.
No, it's not showing
a lot
much
either there. But Weather Service indicating these good areas of potential rotation developing there to issue 2 separate tornado warnings there with 2 suspect areas of rotation of these storms moving in along I-20. I'll put this into motion, and you can kind of see that reflectivity here, and this line is not like a exact straight line. You know, a lot of times when we're watching these lines of storms move through, you'll see a lot of green, yellow, and orange and red. Is that
a new tornado warning
coming
that just
together?
Popped up? Did you see that?
Okay, here's a new one. So now we have 3 tornado warnings. This one is a brand new one here on the south side. Let's get a closer look at that one right now. Go back to live mode. This is a tornado warning now just issued with some potential rotation on the south side. This includes Butts, Southern Henry, Jasper, and Newton County. We'll put that up on the screen as I get this new warning just now coming in. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado in the Fincherville area or near Jackson, which is in Butts County, moving to the east at 30 miles an hour. So this is our 3rd now tornado warning all at the same time. This latest one is in effect until 9:45. So let me drop this, and I'm going to zoom in tighter to that in just a moment, but I just want to show you the overview. 1, 2, 3 tornado warnings that we have now south and east of the city, and these are all along I-20 there at Covington. Then this one in Newton County south of I-20. Now this newest warning right here is because of some rotation that is evident there near the Fincherville area, near Jackson, which is in Butts County. All right, so here is Jackson. This is Butts County. Jackson is not in this polygon. This polygon is just to the north of Jackson. Here's this new scan coming in. So this rotation was near Fincherville. Here's Fincherville right here. I just zoomed in tighter so you can see that city. So Fincherville, north of Jackson. This is where we're seeing that potential rotation there. So here's Fincherville, Jenkinsburg at the bottom of your screen. Let me pull this up just a little bit so you can see this entire polygon. So this is the area right here where we see that potential rotation. Now let me show the velocity mode, and this will give us a look. Again, you know, the frustrating part with this, Danielle, is that we're just not seeing the classic red and green coming together, but we do see these colors right here, the different shades of red right there where we have that potential rotation here. Again, this is Fincherville, Jenkinsburg, you're not in the polygon, but Fincherville is. Stark, you're in it, Alcovy Shores, and also Stewart. This is for parts of northern Butts County, southern Henry County, parts of Jasper County, and a little bit of Newton County here, where we have, see all these black lines? Those are the county lines. Even though this polygon's going like this, it's kind of intersecting a lot of those counties there. So again, we have southeastern Henry, northeastern Butts, west central Jasper, and south central Newton County. This is that potential rotation near Fincherville, moving to the east at 30 miles an hour. So let me widen out a little bit more, and I will give you a time of arrival, moving east at 30 miles an hour. You'll be able to see here this area pretty much east-southeast. We'll go to 30 miles an hour right there, and you'll be able to see some of the time of arrival there that we have. If that holds together, it would move into Worthville at 9:26, Alcovy Shores at 9:36. There's Alcovy Shores right here. And then once you get over to Calvin, this is outside of the polygon. So we're not sure that this will make it to Calvin, but if it does, it would be at 9:51, and then continuing over into Monticello.
They just drew a whole new polygon just for Newton only.
Okay.
So if you just want to wide out.
Yeah, let's get wider here because we've got multiple.
Yeah, there's 4 of them.
Okay, so let me clear this out as well. So we don't want you to be confused, but there's a lot going on right here with these. So this was one of the original warnings here that now they've issued a new warning coming out of that, all right, an update with that. That is just over Newton County. We still have this one, including a little bit of Rockdale right here, moving into Covington. So really, both sides of I-20 in Newton County, that's where we have those tornado warnings. One north of I-20 there around Covington, and then the other one just south of I-20. And this is the original tornado warning here. Now we have a brand new tornado warning here, and that's going to be in effect until 9:45. This potential rotation now coming out of this area, and let me go ahead and get in tighter. But before I get to that, and then the other one is the one down here that we were just looking at that included far southeastern Henry, northern Butts, far southern Newton, just that little bit of Newton right there, and then this little bit of western Jasper County in that tornado warning there on the south side. What we have been seeing generally is some brief rotation with these storms, all right? This one, though, might be a little bit different because they are not only just letting, you know, a lot of these, they would, after a few scans, they would allow the warning to expire. But with this one, and the history of this one, they're issuing a new warning to the east because of this rotation that is still holding together there. So this would be around High Point and Haston. This might be, we've got a little purple indicated there here near Haston. So from High Point along 213 right there over toward Haston, Henderson Mill Road there, New Bern is over here. You're just on the edge of that polygon. This is where that rotation is going right now there with this newest tornado warning issued for Newton County until 9:45. Now also, northern parts of Newton County still in a warning there as well. So they've extended that warning out just a little bit more, indicating that that might be a little bit more than just a brief spin up that is happening there right now. So a lot of action going on. Let's go back to our reflectivity.
They explained a little bit. They
go ahead, Danielle, tell me what you got.
They've issued a 30-minute tornado for the rotation over central Newton, and that rotation has overall weakened, but given the environment, it's conducive for quick spin up. So that's why they went ahead and they issued that very quick rotation. Hey, Marcos, could you take Max 3? This is actually a look at I-20 East in Newton. This is the camera exactly where one of those tornado warnings is located. And every now and then you can see the flashes of lightning and you can kind of see that ominous sky. A lot of people driving on the roads right now. However, the rainfall is coming down much heavier than what you're thinking, especially when that tornado warning has been issued. So whenever you're in this area, I know it is Saturday night, it's 9:22 on a Saturday. A lot of people are out and about, maybe coming home, maybe going out. You need to give them a call. Hey, heads up, there's a tornado warning for Newton. As of right now, what we're seeing is a lot of rotation in the same areas. So that is why you're seeing multiple tornado warnings right now. As far as the tracking of them, they're all headed the same way, moving the same speed, but you need to make sure that you are weather aware. Get in your safe spot. If you are anywhere in Newton County, get in your safe spot, because the reality of the situation is you have at least 2 tornado warnings for that one county. And that's not discounting the other ones that are moving through Butts, Henry, Jasper counties as well. So make sure that you are aware right now. It looks like it could be just a wind event. We're not really seeing the classic rotation that we usually see. As you can see behind me, we usually look for that little bit of blue on the screen. We're not seeing that right now, which could be good, but that does not mean that you're in the clear just because we're not seeing the storm rotation. We look at several different items to get down to the bottom of exactly what's happening outside. We're indoors. That's another reason why we use our cameras as well, to kind of give us more of the weather story of what's going on. Even as I look at the debris finder, which should provide a little bit of relief for people in that area, I'm not seeing a good indication that we're seeing debris lofted in the air. Whenever we see these, we call them signatures. Whenever we see the signature on the debris finder, that lets us know maybe there could be something in the air, whether it be tree limbs or anything like that. And we're just not seeing that right now, which is great news. In fact, even better news, they just expired one of those tornado warnings, but the 2 northern tornado warnings are going to continue as of right now. Also, they're saying a little bit of hail involved with these. So if I do a little bit more of investigating right now, if we can see any hail size, I'm not even seeing any great amount of hail, which is good. But Marcos, there's another look right there at Max 3 of the lightning and the heavy rainfall. It is definitely making a huge impact, Chris, as you can see behind you there. I've seen several cars kind of pulling off to the side with their flashers on, which is actually, if you cannot see, you need to get off the exit. That's the law here in the state of Georgia. So yeah. Just as a heads up there, but clouds in the sky cover. I've been trying to see it. You can kind of see a little bit of rotation with those clouds in Newton County there.
Yeah, when we see those flashes of lightning there. Let's go back to Max 1 there, Marcos. We have another tornado warning to tell you about. This is a little bit more down to the south. For those of you down in Upson County near Thomaston, this is the southern fringes of our viewing area, but we have a new tornado warning for you. This is from a system coming out of Talbot County. Again, that's in the Columbus viewing area, but it comes into Thomaston, which is our viewing area here. Another tornado warning there, well down to the south, which would be moving into Upson County. This does include Thomaston. Let's go to the velocity mode there, and we do see a little bit better of a signature right here around Woodland. Again, this is the area where we see that potential rotation developing in Talbot County, north of Talbotton, if you're familiar with that area there. This is pretty much between Macon and Columbus. Again, the southern fringes of our viewing area, but Upson County is one of the counties that we're responsible for in the Atlanta viewing area. And so we have this tornado warning in effect from Woodland that may cross over the line into Upson County if that holds together. So I want you folks in Thomaston to be aware of that. Also, these areas near Roland in Upson County, Birdsong and Redbone Crossroads area, be aware of that as that system continues to move up toward over toward the east. Now let's get back to these other ones, because Danielle was telling us that we did have some changes in some of those warnings. We still have 2 tornado warnings still in effect. The one that was north of I-20, let me confirm that. Yeah, that's the one. The one north of I-20 is no longer in effect, all right? That was north of Covington right here. Remember, we had that polygon there. We had double warnings there, one north of I-20, one south. So the one north of I-20 is the one that is no longer in effect. The one that still is in effect is the one south of I-20, south of Covington, right in this area right here, where we're still seeing, again, okay, so they are just issuing, it looks like they kind of doubled up these.
They were having troubles earlier.
Yes,
and
I think they are.
Yeah, I think they're having troubles with the double.
Yeah. Okay, so
double polygons.
That went away again. So I think what they're doing is they're updating this latest warning right here, and where we see the latest information kind of coming in right now on that warning, where we still see those areas of potential rotation. Now, again, this is a little bit different. Now they're saying the 2 warnings seem to be trending down a little bit, and we'll monitor for potential cancellations. But I want you to take these seriously. If you are in these polygons, this one here just south of Covington that goes over toward New Bern, this is where they just updated, and they kind of, this polygon is not as large as it was. They took out some areas here to the west, again just south of Covington, but now we still have this part along Highway 11 going over to the New Bern area, still in this tornado warning. We're watching to see if any of that circulation is starting to die out. Then here is the other one, just north of Jackson. I'm trying to get in tighter here so we could see. Remember when we talked about this that was just issued, it was around the Fincherville area. Now it looks like it's more a little bit over to the east, and it's again not an easy way to pick this out. We're just seeing some slight differences in the colors. It's not your classic red and green there coming together, indicating that rotation. It would be in this area here, north of Stark, getting closer to Alcovey Shores. Again, the Weather Service watching to see if this rotation is even holding together and if this warning will even last until 9:45. We'll wait to see that as well. And then again, the other warning that we're watching a little bit more to the south, all right? Let me, here is Atlanta. I wanted to move that so you could see Atlanta. So we're talking about these out I-20 on the east side, 2 of those warnings still, tornado warnings, and then this one well down to the south, really between Macon and Columbus. If you're familiar, driving between Macon and Columbus, you go through Upson County here. So this is in Thomaston with this latest tornado warning that's in effect there. That is from this storm that's moving out of Talbot County. And that one does look a little bit more impressive there, north of Talbotton. And if that holds together, it would cross over the county line from Talbot County into Upson County. So just be aware of that in the Thomaston area. We're going to keep checking back on that as we get new scans coming in. But for these closest to the metro area now on the south side, we'll go back to the radar. And you can see, again, this is that leading edge of these storms continuing to move on through. Now,
I just want to give you a heads up, Max 2 just closed on me, so just be careful.
Okay, what now?
Max 2 just closed down. on
Okay,
those.
okay, so our computers are really working overtime, ingesting all this. Danielle's giving me a warning that her computer just shut down, and we're hoping mine does not shut down here too. So again, these warnings that we're watching over on the east side, all of these warnings have been coming in pretty much along the leading edge of this line of storms as it's been moving through. So if you're in Atlanta right now, I know you're probably wanting to watch your regularly scheduled programming, but we have to be on to warn folks in these 3 tornado warnings that we have right now of the potential impacts that they are dealing with at this hour. But if you're in Atlanta, the worst of it, you're still getting rain here, but the severe part is well over to your east, all right? That's mainly the leading edge. So this still is going to be moving out I-20 toward Eatonton. Athens, you're getting the heavy rain and thunder and lightning. This is still going to pass through Butts County here, going through Jasper County, Putnam County. It still has to clear those areas of Greene County and Oglethorpe County. We just have to watch that leading edge there to make sure we don't get any additional rotation here developing along that. But here in Atlanta, we're still dealing with the rain. Is just not as strong or as severe as it was earlier. The back edge of this is pretty much up 75 toward Bartow County and out 20 toward Villa Rica. So for those of you waiting for the Braves game, all this rain still has to clear out before they're able to get that game going. And I haven't heard if they're still just there waiting and they're going to try to get the game going just really late, or if they went ahead and did an entire rain out. So we'll let you know when we hear about that. But we do see the back edge of that rain that's going to be pushing through Atlanta and through Truist Park in really the next 30 minutes or so to see if they're going to be able to get that game going. But the main things we're watching are that leading edge. Again, this is the reflectivity here showing us that leading edge, and that's where we have been getting these areas of rotation here. This one from Talbot, now that leading edge is about to move into Upson, about to cross over the line where we have that tornado warning that's in effect there. And then also here up into areas of near Jackson and Butts County. And then this one's still holding together in Newton County. That warning for Newton County is supposed to expire at 9:45. We'll see if that actually is going to hold on for that much longer. Let's go back to the reflectivity. I just got an alert from the Braves. We were just talking about the Braves. They're saying that barring any other further changes, they are targeting 10:15 to start the game for the Braves tonight. That just came in here, crossing over. And here's a new tornado warning right here. This is for Jasper County, all right? So that just popped up here from this warning that we've been tracking here in Newton County. Now they are extending this over into Jasper County. You're not getting the strong storms yet in Jasper County. It is on the way though. This is the leading edge right here, and it's along that leading edge where, let me see, get some exact locations here for you from what they're saying. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Turtle Cove, or 8 miles northeast of Jackson, moving to the east at 30 miles an hour. So I want to get in here closer to this right now. There's Alcovy Shores. We were pointing that out as one of the cities a little while ago in our time of arrival. So this is where we would see that potential rotation right now coming out of those areas to the west in parts of Newton County, and that's crossing over into Jasper County, moving over toward Blackwell, Pallado, Liberty Church Road right here. There's Maxwell right up here at the top where you see there at the top of the screen. That's the northern extent of that polygon. But this is the latest tornado warning that is in effect right now. When I put this excuse me, into our velocity mode, that this one is going to be in effect until 10 o'clock. So this is really an extension of the other warning, as this is now moving from Alcovy Shores here in this area here and was about to move out of the polygon. So the Weather Service wanted to issue another warning to let people ahead of this know that that potential rotation is on the way to you. So this is the area we're watching near Alcovy Shores. And again, the Weather Service was saying over Turtle Cove, or 8 miles northeast of Jackson. So here you see Jackson. That's one of the locators right here. This would be about 8 miles northeast of Jackson. That kind of times out right there along 212, about to cross over Highway 11. where we have that potential rotation right there. Again, not a classic look. Okay, Danielle, there's a third one that just showed up there. I don't know if there's some issues, again, with the Weather Service, but there's now 3 boxes all on top of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Here. You know what I bet they're doing? Yeah, that's what they did. You saw that just disappear. So the original warning to the west, they just kind of shrunk it up a little bit, taking off some of that on the backside, but that's still in effect right here. That overlaps this new warning, which really starts right here and goes on over through the rest of Jasper County. So this one's going to expire at 9:45. Then this one that's going here is in effect until 10 o'clock with that rotation that is moving through there. Again, not confirmed. We don't have confirmation of an actual tornado on the ground, but this is radar indicated rotation that is moving through this area now. And let's look at the, are you seeing anything if you've been watching the debris?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything too.
Yeah, so what we look for in the debris signatures would be, you know, this is just the differences between the line that's moving in. What we would look for is individual areas of those brighter colors, which would indicate any lofted debris. We're not seeing that with that right now. We're also looking at the shear. Not seeing much with that at this hour either.
They did make a message a little bit earlier that they are being preemptive about some of these tornado warnings, just because it's so far away from the ATL radar.
Yes.
So I think that they are issuing some of them to be kind of preemptive of if they see any indication at all of any rotation.
And that's what we have to do. That's the Weather Service's job as meteorologists. That is our job here as TV meteorologists here at 11 Alive. Danielle and I are passing along this information. The National Weather Service is saying that they are being a little preemptive with these. If there's any sign at all of rotation, they're wanting to alert you to let you know about it, even though they may be brief. But the ones that we see here, these are more than just brief ones here because they're issuing additional warnings. This is like the 3rd warning along that same kind of path where we've got that rotation within these storms. Whether or not it's touching down and causing damage, we don't have confirmation of that, but we can't ignore it. We've got to let people know that that is possible and it could touch down at any time. So these that we still have, this one's still just south of I-20. I believe this one was supposed to expire at 9:45. Let me put that up there again just to confirm that. The one that's going through New Bern, yes, that one's supposed to expire at 9:45. This newest one that we have right here is supposed to expire at 10 for Jasper County. And then the one that is down in Upson County, let's go back and check on that one, because that is now crossing over the line from Talbot into Upson County.
There's also a report of trees down on homes in Talbot.
Okay, yeah, that one looked a little more impressive. This is going to in effect until 10 o'clock. So while we're there, I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter. This part of the storm now, the worst part of it now, is crossing over the line. Now remember, I know you're thinking, wow, Thomaston's really far away. Why are you concentrating on Thomaston? It is part of our viewing area. Upson County is the farthest south that we're responsible for here for the Atlanta viewing area. So you can see Thomaston right here. This leading edge of that really heavy rain is about to move into Thomaston now. And it's this part right here that's pretty much crossing over from Talbot County into Upson County is where we have that potential rotation. And Danielle said that the Weather Service is saying that they are getting some reports of damage in the Talbotton area, and that is where we saw this warning originate from here in Talbotton. So they just kind of took Talbotton out of the warning, kind of shrunk it up a little bit, but still part of Talbot County is in that, the far eastern part. And then Upson County up toward Thomaston, you are still in that warning too. Let's look at the velocity mode here as well, because we were seeing a better, okay, that looks like that has improved a little bit. We were seeing a little better, you know, a vortex signature with this earlier with our velocity mode. Now it's kind of cleaning up just a little bit, but still, folks in Upson County, I want y'all to be keeping a close eye on that as the storm continues to move through. So we still have these just south of I-20. One there still in in those areas of Newton County, where we have this warning that's supposed to expire at 9:45. The area just south of I-20 here is where we have that suspect rotation. And then we have the original warning here that was in Butts, Jasper, and Newton County, really just on all those county lines that you see. Southern parts of Newton, far eastern Butts County, and then far western areas of Newton County. Okay, it looks like there's another one they just did. They just put a new one in right there, Danielle.
Yeah, they did.
This is out of that one. Okay, so this one that I was just telling you that this was going to expire at 9:45, it most likely still will, but they're still seeing some rotation there with it right around the New Bern area. And that's why we have a new tornado warning that just came up here for that part of Jasper County, parts of Newton County, and this goes into Morgan County. So here's Madison along I-20. This is south of I-20, but now Morgan County is included in these warnings. Jasper, Morgan, and Newton County. So it's exiting, moving out of Newton, moving out of Jasper County, but then moving into Morgan County. So in this polygon here, if you're familiar with New Bern there, south of I-20, this is now going to cross over the line into Morgan County and then move on over to the east, and that's going to be in effect until 10:15. Let's get in a little bit tighter there. Again, not seeing that classic look, but that latest warning is saying that this potential rotation is pretty much over New Bern right now, or 10 miles southeast of Covington, moving east at 30 miles an hour. This, again, is radar indicated rotation with that. So here we are. This is what I was talking about, where I thought that rotation would be around New Bern, and the National Weather Service in their warning is saying that this rotation is over New Bern. Again, not confirmed as a touchdown, but it's over the New Bern area. It's going to be moving near Jacob Prickett Lane. Here is Reese right here. Farrar is right on the edge of the polygon here to the south there. But this is moving in this direction. If you are in this red polygon in those areas of coming out of Newton County, moving into Jasper County, and that little bit of through Jasper and into Morgan County, I want you to be in your tornado safe position here. This again is coming out of this warning that is going to expire at 9:45. The rotation is now about to move out of that polygon, so the National Weather Service has issued this new one here, coming out of Jasper and Newton, going into Morgan County. Again, this would be south of Madison. Here's Godfrey right here. Godfrey, you're not included in that polygon, but this is right along Highway 142. We'll get in tighter here to see some of these other, I mentioned Jacob Prickett Lane there near Roos. There's New Bern Road, Reese, Broughton right here. Along 213, Highway 142, coming in this direction here. This is where we're seeing near New Bern and there at New Bern Road, that potential rotation moving over toward Jacob Prickett Lane and also up toward the Reese area, where we have this latest tornado warning that is moving through those areas now too. And again, on the south side, watching that one moving into Jasper County here too. That's in effect until 10 o'clock. That is just really, here's Monticello. The circulation that we're seeing here with that is pretty much to the north and west of Monticello. That would be moving towards Shady Dale, although Shady Dale is not included in that particular warning right now. So very active weather along that leading edge of that rain there, with multiple tornado warnings that are in effect there along I-20 and just to the south of I-20. We also still have this tornado warning in Upson County, getting closer to Thomaston right now. What you got, Danielle?
That one is showing a little bit better rotation, the best rotation I've been seeing in a while.
The one down here, yes, on reflectivity?
Yes, and then if you also turn on your shear,
yes,
saw some right there by Thomaston.
Okay, the blue,
right where the velocity is meeting.
The blue that you see there, so I took the velocity off so we could put the shear on here. This blue is what we're indicating some potential rotation there. You know, with the other tornado warnings up to the north, up toward, you know, that was in Rockdale earlier, Newton, Jasper County, we weren't seeing a lot of the blues showing up here with that rotation, but as Danielle mentioned, this one has been showing a little better areas of potential rotation there. Closing in on Thomaston and just to the south of Thomaston, that will be crossing over Highway 19 here in just a little bit. So that's where we have that potential rotation that is moving through those spots now in the Thomaston area. But while we're there on our look at that, we're not really seeing any additional shear there along I-20. But again, the National Weather Service is reiterating that they are being extra cautious with these storms and seeing any bits of rotation with them, and they're triggering these warnings because of any potential for these to touch down at any time. Here again, we'll widen out a little bit more, and you can see that if you're in Atlanta, we still have rain coming down here. It's pretty moderate still. I'm hearing it on our roof right now, but the worst of this, that leading edge of those strong storms, they are well to the east of us. So that's where the severe weather threat is, east of Atlanta, stretching from Athens down toward those areas of Madison and Morgan County, pushing down through the Monticello area, and then down toward Thomaston. That is that leading edge of those storms that have that more likelihood areas, or areas that are more likely for any rotation to develop. So the severe weather threat for Atlanta is pretty much over. In fact, while I'm talking about that, I want to look at the severe thunderstorm watch that has been in effect, and it's going to be in effect until 11 o'clock. And they have taken out just a few more counties with that. So Fulton County is no longer in the severe thunderstorm watch. Coweta County no longer in it, Douglas County no longer in it, Cobb is no longer in it, Forsyth County is no longer in it, but these counties in orange that you see, Hall, Gwinnett, DeKalb, Rockdale, Fayette, Coweta, down toward, that's actually Harris County there, just north of Muskogee there in Columbus. That is what is still left of that, and over to the east. So Athens, you're still in it, Macon is still in it, and so what's happening is this is supposed to be in effect until 11 o'clock tonight, but they're taking away counties on the backside of that line where there's no longer a severe weather threat. So I'm expecting that they'll be taking DeKalb and Gwinnett out pretty soon. Fayette and Clayton, most likely they'll be taken out pretty soon as well. And speaking of Fayette and Clayton, I want to go back and look at the airport really quick here.
I also have a camera up on Max 3 of Upson, where that tornado warning is. It's pretty...
Okay, here's the airport, and then we'll get to that one on Max 3 in a moment. I just wanted to see any delays. Well, they're saying no delays at Hartsfield-Jackson right now, even though we had that heavy rain that came through a little bit earlier. All right, Marcos, if you could show us here that Max 3 that Danielle is talking about. This is, Danielle's been really finding a lot of these tower cams, actually traffic cameras. This, she says, is in Upson County
at Church Street.
The Walmart right there,
yep.
At Deluxe Circle at Church Street, where the camera's shaking from the winds there, and even kind of breaking up a little bit. You see those kind of lines that were moving across that as that camera's breaking up. A lot of rain coming down. Cars are moving along that road there near the Walmart at Deluxe Circle in Upson County. This is in the Thomaston area where we see, there at Church Street, where we see that potential for that rotation that is moving through. And you see how the camera is shaking because of those winds that are blowing really hard now down in Upson County. So we'll come back here to our radar, and this is the area that we were talking about right down here at Thomaston, where we have that tornado warning that is still in effect for those areas on the south side. And the ones that we were watching in Thomaston were actually a little more impressive than what we were watching up in Newton, Morgan, and Madison counties there. I'm going to put this back to velocity mode. So we've got that going through. Let's look back at the shear again. Still that blue color indicating a little bit of that potential storm rotation that is pretty much to the east of Highway 19, a little bit to the east of Thomaston. If that would hold together, it would then move into Yatesville and Culloden. I think that this rotation would stay to the south of the Rock, which is in the northern part of Upson County. So that's that rotation moving into this direction that we'll keep an eye on to see if that holds together. And that's where we have this tornado warning that's in effect. Now that rotation is moving closer to the edge of this polygon. So we'll see if the National Weather Service is going to issue another warning over to the east there. And again, this is all, okay, they just did that. So this is the newest warning that just came in for Crawford County, Georgia, which is not our viewing area. Lamar County is our viewing area. It's just that small part of Lamar County. Monroe County, that's where Forsyth, Georgia is, north of Macon. If you're coming up Macon, you know, from either 475 or 75 and you drive through Forsyth, Georgia, not Forsyth the county, but Forsyth the city, that's in Monroe County. That county also belongs to the Macon viewing area. So our main concerns with this would be this still going through Upson County and clipping this little part of Lamar County right there, as those two are the counties that we are responsible for here in the Atlanta viewing area. So this is a brand new tornado warning for those counties on the south side. Again, the ones that we're mostly concerned with here in the Atlanta viewing area, Lamar County and also Upson County, as it looks like this rotation is holding together. We showed you that tower cam or that traffic camera there in Thomaston at Church Street near the Walmart, where that camera was blowing, shaking, moving because of those strong winds with it. Now they're issuing this new warning that's going to clip that southern part here of Lamar County. Barnesville, you're not in this warning, but just to the south of you, in that southern part there of the county that kind of comes down right here, you're included in that. Then it goes into Monroe County, which is the city of Forsyth, as those storms are still holding together there. Let me go back now up to these other warnings. So they are shrinking this tornado warning for Jasper County.
Yeah, they just made the update.
Yeah, so that one's a little bit smaller now. This is mainly around the Monticello area here and just north of Monticello. So it's now just that little part is for Jasper County. So they're shrinking that polygon, taking out some of these areas over to the west because that's already moved through. So we'll wait and see if they're going to hold on to that warning. Here's the county line going from Jasper County into Putnam County. We'll wait and see if any of that rotation tries to ramp back up any more there to potentially move over into Putnam County, which would include the Eatonton area. This right here is Lake Oconee. You see the blue right there that goes up along I-20 there. There's Greensboro. This is Greene County here, Morgan County here, Putnam County, Lake Oconee right here, all right? So this is still to the west of Lake Oconee. We'll wait and see if these storms hold together to potentially move over the lake there. But right now, we have this for that little bit of Jasper County right here in Morgan County, watching this rotation, which is pretty much at the county line of Jasper into Morgan County, to see if that's going to hold together closer to the Godfrey area. This is set to expire at 10:15. We'll still see if it holds on that long. This one in Jasper County around Monticello is supposed to expire at 10. They just kind of shrunk that polygon a little bit to not include as many areas of Putnam County, or Jasper County. Putnam County is not in a warning right now, but we're waiting to see if they're going to be added to one. So those are the two areas we're watching. And then this latest warning that we have coming out of Upson County. So this area right here, we're watching very closely where we have that potential rotation, would be moving northward into Monroe County right here. Forsyth, Georgia's right here along 75. It includes Upson County, the far northern parts of Crawford County right here. Again, not one of our counties that we're responsible for in the Atlanta viewing area. Monroe County, that's the Macon viewing area. But we are responsible for Lamar County right here, south of Barnesville. That little part of Lamar County. We're also responsible for Upson County right here. This little bit of Upson County still included in that. So we're going to watch this move up toward the north into those areas until it clears those areas. We're going to stay on here live just to make sure we don't see any other areas of rotation developing here. Let's go back to the reflectivity. Again, this is all these areas of rotation on that leading edge of these showers and storms that are pushing through the area. Atlanta already, the heaviest rain is well to the east of you. We do not have a severe weather threat anymore in Atlanta. We've got some heavy rain, thunder, and lightning here, but that back edge is now cleared through Paulding County. It's now in West Cobb, so we think this back edge is going to keep moving closer to Truist Park. And we mentioned earlier, the Braves said they are planning, it's not a guarantee, but they are planning to start the game at 10:15 tonight. Again, that's not a guaranteed time. That's just their goal of hopefully that this back edge of the rain will be passed through Truist Park by the next 20 minutes or so, that maybe they could start that game at 10:15. So we're waiting to see about that. But it's this part, that leading edge. Now, look at Athens. You don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings there in Athens, but you've got some really heavy rain and thunder and lightning. No tornado warnings with that either up toward the Athens area, but really heavy rain coming down in the Athens area. In fact, Danielle, I don't know if you're able to put Athens in maybe remote, let's put it in remote 59 if you don't mind.
Yes.
Because I'm curious to see even though we don't have any warnings in the Athens area, what you're seeing right now, this is Northside Hospital. This is about to change to that Athens camera. Here it is. Some really heavy rain coming down in Athens right now. We're looking down on College Avenue here, Broad right here, right there at the Arch. There's the administration building right there at the University of Georgia. This is the downtown area. I'm sure a lot of folks are there on a weekend night trying to have fun in the downtown area, but they're hampered by all of this rain that is coming down right now in Athens. But again, Athens does not have any severe weather going on right now. It's just really heavy rain and a lot of thunder and lightning. You just saw that lightning strike right there in the Athens area. Now I'm going to go back here to our radar where you can see the heavy rain that's over Athens. And then again, this is just a ragged leading edge of these storms from Athens going through Oconee County right there. This heavy rain moving into Elder. Now when you get down into Morgan County and closer here to I-20 and then south of I-20, still a ragged leading edge of this, but within this part, in that ragged leading edge, we have been seeing some areas where we have that potential for some rotation and radar picking up some of that rotation there. And that's why we have these multiple tornado warnings that are in effect. We're going to see this warning is set to expire at 10, so we most likely will see that polygon disappear at 10 o'clock here in the central parts of Jasper County. We've been watching the Weather Service kind of shrink that polygon up a little bit and shrink that warning a little bit more there. And if that rotation disappears, then this polygon is going to disappear at 10, and then we'll see if they issue another one that might include Putnam County. We'll wait to see if that's going to happen here. This one that is moving out of northern Jasper County and into Morgan County is a tornado warning that is going to be in effect a little bit longer until about 10:15. That again is just south of I-20. So we're keeping an eye on that rotation there that's really crossing over the line from Jasper, pretty much moving into Morgan. All of that is just south of Madison, Georgia. Again, Madison is north of I-20, and most of this rotation here is on the south side. Let me take that off so you can see that a little bit better here, where we have that rotation pretty much south of I-20. So these two areas that we're watching, we think this one will disappear at 10 in about 3.5 minutes, but we'll wait and see if the National Weather Service is going to issue another warning here to the east of that, and whether or not it's going to include Putnam. This one coming out of Jasper County, pretty much moving into Morgan County. This is pretty much south of I-20, south of Madison. We're keeping an eye on that to see if they hold on to that warning until 10:15 when that one is supposed to expire. We still aren't seeing, I'm going to look at this one first here from New Bern. New Bern is no longer in this warning. This is where this potential circulation was originating from a little bit earlier. But now New Bern is no longer in that warning, but still these areas along Highway 142 and 213 between Farrar and Reese. This is where we still have that potential rotation right now, moving over to the east. So this will be pushing out of this polygon pretty soon. So we'll wait and see if this is going to hold on to a tornado warning. And then of course this one near Monticello, north of Monticello, is supposed to expire in less than 3 minutes. And then this one to the south, this is the newest one that just came in here for Crawford County, Lamar, Monroe, and Upson County, in effect until 10:30 because of this part now that if we can just get this, okay, so this is pretty much moving out of Upson County. They will most likely update that in just a little bit. And if we can get this to clear Lamar County, then it would be in those areas, those counties that we're not responsible for.
They did say they have no plans to extend the 2 northern tornado warnings.
Okay, so these 2 here. Okay,
right.
That one did just disappear. Actually, yeah, they actually let that one expire a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But this one's still in Jasper, near Monticello.
Yes.
Is something that we're just going to continue to watch, but they're going to let that one disappear as well, as it is going to expire here in just the next couple of minutes. So they're not going to extend those. That's what I was saying earlier, wondering if when this expires, if they're going to extend that over into Putnam County. And right now they're saying that they are not going to extend that into Putnam County. So the one that was up to the north of that included Morgan County and parts of Jasper County, that one is no longer in effect. And then the other one is set to expire here when that expiration time comes at 10 o'clock. And they don't think that they're going to extend that over into Putnam County right now. But you know the history of this. You guys have been on with us for a long time watching these storms, and right when one expires, then the rotation might ramp back up. So in Putnam County, and for you folks over into parts of Greene County as well, and into Hancock County and up toward Oglethorpe County, keep watching this line as it moves on through, because at any time we could see some rotation developing. So once this expires in Jasper County, the only active warning that we'll have left, and that's going to be expiring, you're going to see this red polygon there, right here. That's going to drop here in probably about 30 seconds when it expires right at 10 o'clock. So we're going to see that expire, and then this one will be the only one that we have left. And that is still exhibiting some signs of rotation, but that's mainly down in Monroe County, south of Lamar County. So we'll have to watch some of those areas there too. And in fact, a new scan just came in with that. So we're going to take you back down there in just a moment. We're going to watch this disappear here in just a moment here as that is going to expire. And then we'll not have any more warnings there around I-20 anymore. With the storms that have shown signs, the rotation that we were watching exhibited on radar pretty much is weakening and falling apart. And the Weather Service is not seeing any additional reasons to issue any new warnings there. So that really should be dropping now at any moment. Here, there, in parts of, there it goes, it just disappeared there. So that just expired. Now the warning that we have, and this one does look a little interesting in the southern part of Lamar County right there, Danielle. If we're kind of keeping an eye on this, let me go back to the shear with it too. And that kind of lines up. Okay, I know I'm going in and out there a lot, but see that blue right here at Culloden? All right, so this is southern Lamar. We have this blue indicating that shear marker there at Culloden. Now let me go back to the velocity mode, and it's right here where we're seeing that red and green come together, and right here a little bit of tighter rotation potentially. That's in the southern parts of Lamar County. So the rotation has pretty much moved out of Upson, but you're still included in that warning. We may still have a little bit of rotation right here in far southern Lamar County, but if we could get that rotation out of Upson and out of Lamar as it goes into areas of Monroe County, then we'll be able to send you back to our regularly scheduled programming here. I know we're up to the top of the hour. It's 10:01 right now. And I know you're wanting to get back to your regular shows that are on, but if we could get that rotation, it is pretty much out of Upson, but we still need to really watch this there in the southern parts of Lamar County. And this warning is supposed to be in effect until 10:30. So if they'll take Upson out and Lamar County out, once this rotation moves up through more of Monroe County, then we'll be able to send you back to our regularly scheduled programming as those areas closer to us, we no longer have that rotation there in those areas of Morgan County or in Jasper County either. But we are responsible for Lamar County and Upson County, where we still have that rotation that is there in Lamar and also Upson, and this is supposed to be in effect until 10:30, although I don't think this warning for those two counties will last until 10:30. In fact, we should see some updates coming in at any moment now, most likely taking out Upson County, and then we'll see if they're going to keep Lamar County in that, and we'll stay with that if they keep Lamar in there, because that is where we're seeing that potential right here for some of that rotation there in that far southern little part there of Lamar County, which is south of Barnesville. So if you're familiar, if you've been driving from Macon through Forsyth, Georgia, again, not Forsyth County, Forsyth the city there north of Macon, that's Monroe County. And then when you're driving through Forsyth, you might see Barnesville or signs for Barnesville over to the west. Barnesville is not included in that, but that is Lamar County. And then this far southern part right here is still where we have that tornado warning in effect. So we're going to see here for a little while longer just how long that is going to hold together there with that potential rotation that is moving through. We'll go back to the reflectivity mode. And a lot of that leading edge is now over Athens and pushing east of Athens. We're still watching this leading edge in Morgan County along I-20. This is all moving into Putnam County right now, about to close in on Lake Oconee right there along I-20. that is there at Putnam County into Greene County. That leading edge is about to move in right now, and even though we don't have any tornado warnings there with that, we did have some warnings earlier with a history of rotation there. So in Putnam County, I know you're thinking, and over at Lake Oconee and in Eatonton, maybe over in the Greene County area at Greshamville, you're thinking, okay, no warnings, are we fine? Well, no, the storms are just now moving into your area. And still at any time, we have the potential to see any rotation that could develop out of that. So no warnings now in those areas, but we're watching that very closely to see if any more will develop. We still have this rotation, though, on the south side with this warning in effect, including Upson County and parts of Lamar County, moving into areas of Monroe County, the northern parts of Crawford County in that warning too. And once this clears our area, even though we still have rain and thunder and lightning, I just heard a big rumble of thunder on top of our building here. And even though these stronger storms are well to the east of us, we still have rain and thunder and lightning here in Atlanta. We're watching the back edge of that rain. Now, I know many of you might be interested in the Braves game as to what's going on there. They were saying, they tweeted out a little while ago, their goal is to start the game at 10:15. They may have to push that back a little bit because we still have that rain still over Truist Park right here, but it's going to start letting up. That back edge is really close to pushing through Truist, so hopefully that will be getting better in just a little while. But then that leading edge still pushing over toward the Madison area. We
There's
just
still a
got
little bit of shear down there in that storm.
Okay, it looks like only a little bit of Upson County. They just updated this polygon, but still a little bit of Upson. All right, can y'all see that right there? Let me move this over here just a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. This small sliver of Upson County is still included in this tornado warning. They took out Thomaston, you're no longer in the warning. They took out this took out a big part of Upson County, but just this little bit of Upson is still in it, and that southern part of Lamar County is still in this warning. And Danielle was just saying that we were still showing a little bit of shear right there in that. Just a little bit of that near Culloden, but that's over still in Monroe County. So we're concerned about this part of Upson and this part of Lamar County, where we still have that tornado warning that's in effect. And the main images that we're seeing with this would be in this area right here where we have that potential rotation there. That would be crossing over 75 soon. Okay, with this latest scan, that's taking most of that more over to the east, and that would be crossing over 75 soon and maybe getting closer to 475 for those areas there. So again, we're going to hang with you for a little bit longer until the National Weather Service takes out Upson and Lamar County out of that warning, even though we're seeing there that rotation may be exiting those spots. So we may hold on to that just a little bit longer here just to make sure that everybody that is able to see us here in our Atlanta ADI, that's our area of influence there, that we're responsible for these particular counties. Just holding on a little bit longer for Upson County and Lamar County. If that moves over to Monroe County, that's no longer our viewing area. Back into Crawford County, no longer our viewing area either. Good news for that stuff moving in closer to Lake Oconee. They're not issuing any new warnings, but they are issuing what they call a special weather statement, saying that we have a line of strong storms along a line extending from Bostwick to near Madison, back down into central Georgia, moving east at 50 miles an hour. Now saying that it's generally winds up to 40 miles an hour. So that's a good indicator that they most likely are not going to issue any new warnings out of that for you over on the east side into Putnam, over into Greene County as well. Toward Athens, again, heavy rain, thunder, and lightning, but the wind, we don't have the wind strong enough to issue any warnings for you up toward Clark County, but they're just saying those winds are around 40 miles an hour, which is below what we would classify as severe limits. So this is really what we're watching, staying on just to make sure that we don't get any additional flare-ups in parts of Upson County or Lamar County with these storms here that are well to the south of Atlanta on the southern fringes of our viewing area. This is the last tornado warning that we still have in effect right now. I'm going to put this into motion for you, and you can see kind of how these storms continue to push on through our area here with that heavy rain, thunder and lightning and also the strong winds that continue pushing on through there, moving over to the east. With, again, at any time we could see any potential rotation developing out of that as those storms continue moving on over to the east. So just holding on a little bit longer just to make sure that we don't have any additional flare-ups here on the south side with those storms there coming out of Upson County and out of that part of Lamar County here as that's going to move into Monroe County, and then also making sure that this over into that line there that is going into Putnam County, closing in on Lake Oconee, just making sure that we don't have any additional rotation developing out of along that system as well. Coming through, again, moving into Eatonton, pushing into those areas of Lake Oconee. I know a lot of you watching us over in the Lake Oconee area. I know many of you here in Metro Atlanta might have homes over at Lake Oconee too. So that's that leading edge. Now, what's different with this right now, this is more of a linear, kind of sharper edge here on this line that's moving in. We do have a little bit of a notch right here near Eatonton, but again, that's not anything that looks, I'll put it back to velocity just to make sure. No, I'm not seeing anything that looks really crazy out of that right now. It's just this leading edge that looks a little cleaner than the ragged edge that we had earlier with these storms coming in. And it was in those ragged edges that we saw some of those spots where we had some of that potential rotation. But again, we're going to keep watching this as it gets closer to Lake Oconee, moving out I-20. Again, those storms in Athens, you got a lot of thunder and lightning with them and heavy rain, but it's not as strong as what we're seeing on the south side. We don't have any warnings there for you either. Okay, Lamar and Upson were just canceled from this tornado warning, all right? So this warning now is pretty much just for Monroe County, which is just north of Macon and just to the north and east of Macon. So Lamar County, you are no longer in this warning. Upson County is no longer in this warning. So those are the counties that we're responsible for on the south side, Upson and Lamar. The Macon viewing area, the Macon TV stations are responsible for Monroe County. So we will now be in the clear to take you back to our regularly scheduled programming, but just know that Danielle and I, even though we're taking you back to our regularly scheduled programming, we're not just going to go kick our feet up. We're going to keep watching these storms moving through just to make sure no additional warnings are issued here, especially with this part of the system in Morgan County and into Putnam County. There at Eatonton. Again, this is about to cross over Lake Oconee right here. And this part of the storm has had a history of some rotation. Before I send you back to regular programming, I just want to look again to make sure I don't see anything out of the ordinary here with either our velocity or our shear. I'm not really seeing anything with that right now either. So the only warning we have is just outside of our viewing area. So we're going to take you back to our regularly scheduled programming. We will continue to have our radar up on our streaming on 11 Alive Plus. If you want to keep watching radar there, we may come back on 11 Alive Plus to give you some live updates there. But we're also going to be getting ready for our 11 o'clock newscast coming up here in just a moment. So this is all pushing out now. We no longer have any active tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings for our viewing area, so we're taking you back to regularly scheduled programming. But if you want more weather information, download 11 Alive Plus on your smart TV or on Fire, Roku, or Apple TV. You'll be able to watch our radar maps and extended coverage there if you want to see how these storms are moving through. So back to regular scheduled programming. We'll have more for you coming up tonight at 11 on 11 Alive News. you.